Hi everybody, I see two people on. I'm gonna hold off until we get a few more people in the room here before I start diving into the pineal gland. Hey Jennifer. Hey girl, how are you? Nice to see you on here. Who else is on? Right now I'm showing 4 people. It's going to be kind of hard for me to see the comments on my screen, so I'll be using my phone, because I got the old eyes. Hi, Candy. Glad you can make it. Maybe the other 2 people are incognito. They don't want people to see that they're on. It's mysterious. All right, up to 5 people. I'm going to wait until we get up to 10 people before I start talking about the subject. Still kicking. Girl. You got this. You got whatever it is that you're going through. All right, we're up to 6, it looks like. Somebody is on from Minneapolis. Wow, that is fantastic. Beth. Oh my gosh. What's your weather like over in Minneapolis right now? Hi, Terry. I'm alternating between looking at my screen on the computer and looking at my phone. It's easier for me to see names and comments on my phone, so bear with me, y'all. It's always a work in progress. Jennifer! Alright, girl. We need to start having a conversation about our thoughts. Our conscious thoughts. How do we talk about ourselves to ourselves? Not trying to call you out or anything, but come on now, you're not bad grass. You're a beautiful flower with a beautiful soul with a purpose here. All right. Hey, Christina. Terry, you're in San Antonio? Oh my gosh. I'm so out of the loop. I know I've missed you. Missed seeing your smiling face. Oh, it's 82 and sunny in Minneapolis. That's awesome. That's very cool. Okay, so we are up to 10 people now, y'all. And tonight might be a little bit of a touchy subject for some people, especially if you don't know me personally, okay? So, I always like to think that I have the best intention. I feel like I have a huge heart and I will help people sometimes before I help myself, and that's a whole different story. But, oh, Terry's on vacation. Girl, that's good. That is so awesome. Some self-nurturing. So, hey, Tina. Thanks for jumping on. So anyhow, for those of you who know me, I hope that you know my intent in talking about this, because some of the things that I might have to say today, some of you might just exit the room and, you know what, honestly, you may not even follow Mystic Bayou anymore on here. But we're going to be talking about the truth, and y'all are going to be like, well, how do you know this is the truth, Michelle? Open your eyes and really think for yourself and think about putting puzzle pieces together. And I know a lot of you all that follow us, and a lot of you all that come into Mystic Bayou, you're seeking truth, and you're seeking knowledge, and you're seeking freedom from things that hold us down. You want to inspire others. And you know that deep within us, there's a higher potential more than, what's going on. So with that being said, I have a lot of notes. I'm just going to jump right in. If I don't answer questions right away, bear with me because my face is going to be in my notes. But, the subject here is, are we being brainwashed? We really are. Everything that we do or think is influenced by what we're taught and the things that we've seen and all the things that we've learned, from a very early age. Sit with that for a minute. And I mean, really sit with that and look at that from an objective point of view. Are our thoughts really our own thoughts? Are our opinions really our own opinions? Or are they opinions because of how we've been taught, what we've learned, what we've seen? Are you influenced by television? Are you influenced by the news or by Facebook or by the people in your circle? Is there peer pressure? All these things come into play, in actuality, we all are being brainwashed. We all are living our life kind of, per what we're being directed to. And until we unplug from it, it's going to continue to be that way. And I'm going to give you a prime example, because y'all know I love to speak my truth and talk about myself sometimes, as uneasy as that is. But, I remember a time when I was growing up and I used to watch soap operas with my grandfather who babysat me when my parents were at work. And man, I used to love watching As the World Turns and Young and the Restless and God knows whatever else. But I'd watch those from a very early age, obviously, if I was being, babysat by my grandfather. And, I actually, because I've been married a few times, I actually remember that first marriage. I was 18. I was very young. Excuse me. A part of me just really wanted to get out of my home and just be on my own. And I knew this person wasn't necessarily a great person. I knew he was a bad influence. I knew that he was involved in drugs. And of course there was an element of me that thought I could change all that, but you soon grow up and realize you can't change people. But honestly, I did not want to get married. But you know what? I went out and I bought the dress. We set up all the arrangements. People spent a lot of money to have this wedding happen. And the whole time, I really did not want to get married. It's all I could think about was, I don't want to get married. And you know what? I thought, this is so serious. And now it's going to be public for everybody and forever because it's going online. It's on the internet. I honestly thought, oh my God, that one of the two guys that I dated in high school loved me so much that they were going to come to that chapel and they were going to proclaim their love for me and I was not going to have to marry this person. How delusional is that? It obviously didn't happen, but this is how we can get so wrapped up and so caught up in non-reality. And that's just an example. Look at today's society right now. Another example would be Mean Girls. You turn on any kind of TV show on Netflix. And I'm not picking on Netflix, trust me, but a lot of these programs portray girls to other girls as being really mean, really judgmental and just nasty. And look at our society. A lot of our young girls are mean and nasty, and they're kind of bullying, and it's all just, it's just ugly. It's hate. Another example would be, let's take a look. Oh, race hate. Hello, it's all over. Another thing is hate through religion and judgment through religion. I can't even begin to tell you how how crazy and insane our world is right now. You know, everything that we're being bombarded with is either fear driven, mostly fear driven, and hate. That's horrible. And myself personally, I feel like we are in the middle of a great battle between good and evil. And the reason why I'm talking about this, we'll get to the pineal, but it ties in. Just trust me, okay? So, another example is going to be people nowadays feel like they don't fit into society unless they have a letter diagnosis attached to them. To me, that's extremely frightening. And you might say, what do you mean by letter diagnosis? Well, I'm talking about ADHD, ADD, OCD, ODD. And I'm even going to talk about, and this one's going to take me a minute, LGBTQIA2S+. And I'm not picking on people, so, you know, let me be very, very clear. So please don't misunderstand in what I'm trying to say. I'm just using this as examples. But the LGBTQ blah, 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 I'm going to talk about that group because they are so passionate. They just want to shout from the rooftops about their love and their right to love. And I love that because love is love, right? Could you imagine if we took, like everybody, the collective, took that much passion in spreading love towards humanity? What our world would be like today? It would be not what it is right now. That's for sure. So like I said, I totally understand love is love, and I'm not picking on anybody who, you know, falls into any of those categories because that's not how I roll. I'm just using this as an example in the passion in vocalizing and sharing and proclaiming their love. So right now, hopefully some of what I have said has kind of made you start to think about our choices and what we're watching, what we're consuming. Not only what we're consuming eating, but what are we consuming visually, or what are we consuming audibly? You know, what are we listening to in the background all day? You know, is it stuff that's positive, that's going to drive us towards love, or is it stuff that's holding us down, keeping us in fear, keeping us in that fight or flight mode? You know, really think about that. We need to start being very present and very conscious about what we're eating, what we're drinking, what we're seeing, what we're listening to, and how we're acting. You know, we're human beings who have a soul, and our purpose is to stay interconnected and to love each other. And when I say interconnected, it makes me think of a time when shortly after I had lost my second son. And I remember I was working at the ticket counter at Delta Connection in South Bend Regional Airport. And the pilots had gone on strike. And it was winter time, I believe, if I remember correctly. Some of my memory's not right because of the grief and the loss of my son, so I may not be correct on that. But what I am remembering is there was a line of people from the ticket counter all the way through the airport, almost out the door. And each time a person came up to the ticket counter, they seemed more angry than the next. And I remember just being like in awe, in shock. I couldn't even comprehend that those people couldn't look at me and see the pain that I was going through and how I was struggling just to make it through my daily life, let alone stand in front of, you know, them at a ticket counter and be belittled. You know, I couldn't comprehend how they couldn't feel it. How could they not feel that? And how could they not see that? Well, it took me a few years to understand that, you know, not everybody's open. And that's really sad because we're interconnected beings. You know, we could have telepathy between each other. We could even have telekinesis. We could have the utmost compassion and love for one another, that it could actually heal people. But getting into the pineal gland. This pineal gland is what it's going to take, or a part of what it's going to take, to bring about all these changes. So I know we have a lot of people come into Mystic Bayou. They walk through the doors. Some are young, some aren't. Some are, my age. And, they want to know, what can I do to open my third eye? What can I do to be a psychic or a medium and all this other stuff? Want to learn how to read cards, and they always connect it to the third eye. And I totally get that. I absolutely do. But it's not an instantaneous thing. And we'll get to that here in a little bit. First I'm going to talk about the pineal gland. So what is the pineal gland? It's actually a little pine cone shaped gland that sits between our right and left hemisphere of our brain. It actually has crystals in it. Crystals. That's one place that we have crystals in our body. We are crystal beings. But it has little crystals in it. And this pineal gland is extremely important. If you ever were to see the Vatican, they have the pine cone representation in a huge statue. It means wisdom. It means knowledge, all-knowing. And it's also the seat of our soul. And I'll probably say that many times. But what happens is, as we have evolved, we are I have to tread lightly here how I say that, a slave race. So, the Anunnaki, blah, 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 did genetic whatever to us, and basically we were to be the slaves to dig out the mines to get the gold for the Anunnaki, etc. In that process, what they had to do is they realized that we had the pineal gland, which was our soul, and what happens is the pineal allows us to think for ourselves. It allows us to see reality and the truth of realities. So they had to figure out a way. We'll just say bad guys now, instead of saying other words that might, get Mystic Bayou's Facebook page shut down. But we'll say the bad guys throughout history have discovered different ways to keep that pineal gland calcified so that we cannot use it to its full potential. So what happens is, how do they do that? Well, they do it by feeding us poison. They do it by putting poison in our air and in our water. So, prime example is foods that we're eating, the GMO, that's an issue. Also, a lot of processed foods. A lot of processed foods have no nutrients, and they have a lot of sugar. So that's going to contribute to the calcification of the pineal gland. It's also going to contribute to the bad people's role in wanting to keep us living in a fight or flight, in a powerless and a sick, dis-ease situation, because we're easier to control. I told y'all, some of you aren't going to like what I'm saying, so, we're all entitled to our own opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm not telling you take my word for God at all. I'm saying discern. Definitely discern, and I'm saying do some research. Look at the puzzle pieces. Really sit back and look at things from a higher perspective. The GMOs. Those GMOs that were designed to be, put into different vegetation, like corn, for example, or soybean. That has Roundup in it. Roundup is specifically designed to attack an insect from the inside out through its gut system, to perforate holes into this insect's guts so that it would eventually die. Now, I can't help but think, what is one of the huge crises that we're dealing with in society now as far as illness? It's leaky gut. I mean, to me, is it a coincidence? Maybe. I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's a coincidence. I remember when these big farm groups would come around and tell the farmers, hey, you know what, we're going to give you our seeds, blah, blah, blah. You can't have seeds. And they went as far as to say, if they found seeds on your property that weren't their seeds, the GMO nasty seeds, you would get fined. You would have to spend a lot of money. They could take you to court. It was crazy. And that's all that we have now. I mean, you can barely find anything that's non-GMO. Corn's pretty much all GMO. Soybeans, pretty much all GMO. And definitely beets. So, through our food, okay, they keep our pineal gland calcified so that we do not see our full potential, okay? Another way they do it is through chemtrails. There's a lot of controversy over chemtrails. Believe it, don't believe it. I'm just being me, speaking my truth. You know, they're putting toxins in the air to make us sick. Plain and simple. It's also causing us to not be able to decalcify the pineal gland. Another one is fluoride. What a lie. You know, what a horrible, horrific lie. Lobbyists went out and found a way to save factories working with different metals, and I'm not sure quite what metal it is, so I don't want to misspeak. But instead of having the factories or the facilities clean up and do something proper with the backwash or whatever was left, fluoride, what they did was the lobbyists came up with, and I'm just going to say it, a hoax to say fluoride is good for your teeth. Do some studying, look up some studies on fluoride. I remember being in school and they would come in, I think every Wednesday, and give us a little Dixie cup that had a little bit of this fluoride mouthwash, and we had to put it in our mouth and swish it around. They would time us, and then they'd come around with a bucket and we'd spit it out. So weird, right? I had cavities galore. That fluoride didn't do shit for my teeth, but do the research. You know, this isn't just my story. Do the research. You know, it's in all our toothpaste. So, you know, they're getting us that way. It's also, they're putting fluoride in our water, along with other toxins, chlorine and mercury and pharmaceuticals and you name it. And then we wonder why we're walking around with all these issues. It's crazy. Let's see. How else are they doing it? Aluminum. How many of you have used or still have aluminum pots and pans? Yeah, I just threw mine away. Because the aluminum, not only will it keep your pineal gland calcified, but it can also cause cognitive issues like Alzheimer's. You know, there's studies on this, y'all. But it's okay for them to put aluminum in deodorant. That's another way, y'all. Not only is it keeping the pineal calcified, but think about it. All these cases of breast cancer in men, what's the common ground here? We're putting the deodorant under our armpit, on top of where our lymph nodes are. You know, aluminum's toxic, but they allow us to have it in a lot of items. And you know, it's in our food too. Aluminum foil. Oh my gosh. You know, I grew up where we would make what we called hobo sandwiches. And it was 2 hamburger patties, some sliced potatoes and onions, and lots of butter and salt and pepper. And they were, oh my God, so delicious. We'd wrap them in aluminum foil and either cook them on a campfire or in the oven. Oh my gosh. Like, that's horrible. Like, I feel so bad even if I have to take aluminum foil and lay it over top of something. I just don't even want it in my house anymore. Again, once you know these things and you sit with them and they resonate, you can't go back. You can't unknow what you know. And trust me, there's a reason you know when you know. Because right now, everybody needs to come together and just realize that we're in kind of a mass awakening right now. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to talk about the other thing that the pineal gland does and why it's also called the third eye. If you were to go straight in right here between your eyebrows to the middle of your brain, that is where the pineal gland is. And it is described as the seat of the soul by Descartes. And it is also, like I said, in the center of the brain. It looks like a tiny pine cone, and its main function is to receive information about light and dark so that it can regulate melatonin. But that's not the only thing it does. It's called a third eye, and it's called a third eye for a reason. And you want to know what's really insane is the pineal gland has rods and cones, just like our eyeballs. Think about that. I hope you all decide to jump down the rabbit hole and start doing some research and really looking at the pineal gland, going and digging deep. And I mean, why would that little pineal gland have rods and cone cells in it, just like our human eye? So the pineal gland, besides being our third eye and besides being the seat of our soul, allows us to be able to think for ourselves. Now, I know that I've used the term sheeple, and I know that some of you may know people who are sheeple. You may even inadvertently not even know, and you could be a sheeple. We're all in different stages of our life and in our ascension and our evolution. So when I say sheeple, I'm talking about the people who just completely don't think for themselves at all, and they go specifically by anything, say, mainstream media says to them. It's kind of very dangerous in today's day and age to be like that. You know, my hope is that by watching this video, people will learn that they need to discern everything. You really don't want to be sheep. You know, we want to kind of think for ourselves and be able to discern and learn from our mistakes and you know, all that good stuff. So getting back to people wanting to open their third eye. I totally get this. It's not a I want it now kind of a situation. It's something that you need to dedicate time to, and you have to be truthful with yourself about why you want to open your pineal. Because once you open it, honestly, the truth of reality is going to be in your face. And are you ready and willing to face that? Are you strong enough to face that? And are you strong enough to work in servitude to others if you do become psychic and a medium? Because it's all about compassion and empathy and helping each other. So what's the main objective? What's the goal? You know, why? What's the why? So let me get back into my notes here. So for most of us, we have to work at keeping the pineal gland open. But that's not the case for everybody because, you know, it's not for everybody because some of us have incarnated here on this earth at this time and we've had these traits, or the traits aren't, it was easy to come by. They easily opened. For some people, the pineal can burst open through trauma. You know, trauma at an early childhood. It could be whatever trauma. But for most people, you're going to have to work at it and you know, really put the work behind it, put in the effort. But there are some that come into this earth and they don't have to do a whole lot because those traits are there and their pineal isn't as calcified. And those people are called indigo children. And even though I say children, don't confuse that and think that adults aren't indigos, because it's adults too. So there are different names. So there's indigo children, and there's crystal children, and there's flower children, and the list goes on. But these are the seers and the waymakers and the ones who are here on this planet currently to help raise the vibration of the collective consciousness. They are here to help try to save humanity by helping them to wake up to the truth of what's going on around them. So for most people, you know, like I said, we need to work at opening the pineal. There's no shortcuts. And if this is something that you want to do, again, be careful what you wish for, because if you don't want to see the truth of reality, opening the pineal gland is not for you. It's serious. All right. So I imagine we got about 15 people online. Again, I haven't been checking the comments. I'll check them here in just a little bit. But right now is the point of no return. So some different things that I'm going to talk about decalcifying the pineal gland. So we talked about food. We talked about water. We talked about air. I also want to talk about this. Now, some of you might go running out the room, but I'm going to talk about that thing, the jab. You know, it's up to y'all. You know, I support anybody who decides they want to get it, and I support people who decide they don't want to get it. But I would like to invite people to do some research, and there are quite a few studies out right now about images and studies on blood work from the people who have received that jab. And it's kind of scary, kind of very scary. So again, just use your discernment. You know, we're being backed into a corner. I feel like there's a lot of pressure for people to get jabbed. Hello, I mean, do you really think that it's all about an illness if the pressure is that strong to do this? I don't know. You know, that's my question. And I'm looking at it with discernment. You know, I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep learning about it. Myself, I'm not ready for it. I don't want it right now because I don't think that there's been enough studies. And I'm not too sure what the agenda is behind it. And again, this is my own opinion, okay? And that's, you know, what's really amazing about being a sovereign being is that we have our own opinions, we have free will, but we also have to make sure we just don't give that free will away by consenting to something that we're consenting to because we feel backed into a corner. You know, I just heard today, and this makes me sick, and it really scares the shit out of me. I heard today that New York is going to be the first state to make people show proof of that jab to be able to get into restaurants, grocery stores, shows, pretty much anything. I'm like, what the bloody hell? Seriously? How is that different from the Jews in the Holocaust having to wear stars? I don't get that. It breaks my heart. I just don't get it. And right here, as I was typing up my notes, this little prayer came to me, and it's just, oh Lord, I pray for the people to wake up so that they can see that we are in a battle between good and evil. I pray, Lord, that we all wake to the truth of reality so that our eyes will be open and that we will be able to discern the motives of the evil ones. You know, I know some of you are like, oh my God, she prays? I pray, I meditate. I talk to God anytime and all the time because we need to. You know, I sit in prayer because I have things I need to say to God. And then I sit in meditation because there are things that I need to hear from God. So, we are all in the midst of a mass ascension right now, and the bad guys are grasping at straws to keep us dumbed down by keeping our pineal gland calcified. Because once we decalcify the pineal, then we will know the truth, not just have the psychic powers and all these superpowers. What are they called? Like the Umbrella Academy. That was kind of a cool show. But yeah, these superpowers, you know, telepathy and telekinesis, things like that. You know, it's not out of our realm. We are such amazing spiritual beings. We have no clue because we've never been allowed to be seen or to see that side of us because there's always been somebody in control trying to keep us dumbed down. Again, do your research, discern, all that good stuff. You know, they just don't want us to see how powerful we are and how powerful our souls are. All right, so here we go. Remember, you can't unknow what you know, so do the research. But for those of you who still want to try to open your pineal gland and decalcify it, I'm on your team, most definitely. But it's a process and it's a dedication. I've said it over and over. So if you want the truth and you want to cut through all the BS to see people for who they really are and to see who the bad guys are and how they're trying to keep us sick and powerless, then keep watching the video, because we're going to start talking about how to decalcify the pineal gland. So number one, you'll need to eat clean. And, you know, for a long time I didn't understand what that meant. Clean, eat clean. I don't know what the hell that means. Don't eat processed foods. Don't eat bacon. Don't eat sausage. If it doesn't look like it just came from an animal, it looks like something else, it's been processed. That's the only way I can really describe it. Pretty much a lot of things that we have are processed. Processed cheese. Processed milk. Processed everything. So if you switch to more fruits and vegetables, that's a good start. Cook your meat, you know, don't buy like Hamburger Helper, don't buy instant mashed potatoes, you know, all those like cereal, okay? Like Chex or Frosted Flakes, all that stuff is processed. There's chemicals in it, and there's sugar in it, and there's GMOs in it. I know, some of you aren't even going to want to hear this because it's going to be too much to deal with. No sodas. Oh my gosh. No pop, no cola, no sodas, no sugary treats. And you may even think about giving up gluten, because gluten is full of GMO. And gluten isn't something that our bodies were intended to eat anyhow. We were never intended to eat grains. That's something else that y'all can go down the rabbit hole on and do some research on. Drink 6 to 8 glasses of water, quality water a day. Please, dear God, please stop buying those plastic bottles from Walmart and these other stores. Turn those around and look at the ingredients. Why in hell is there an ingredients on the back of a bottle and an expiration date? The other thing is those plastic bottles are emitting particles of plastic into that bottle. And you think, oh, it's only been sitting on the shelf over at Walmart or wherever, maybe a couple weeks. It's been sitting in a warehouse for maybe 6 months before it even gets to the store shelf. You're drinking plastic. It's unfortunate, but I promise you it's true. And a lot of people carry those bottles around, refill them, leave them sit in their car and they get hot. It's just not a good idea. So if you can find, you know, and yeah, we sell a fabulous water system, but please, this is not why I'm saying this here. Find yourself a water system that's going to clean your water. It's going to take and filter out your water of the toxins and the poisons, the chloride and chlorine and the mercury and the pharmaceuticals, and drink it. You know, there's different filters that you can hook up in your own home, and you can even find them on Amazon, y'all. Just do your research, but it'll clean that stuff out and you'll know what you're drinking, because what we drink really, really matters. Stop using fluorinated toothpaste. It's not hard. There's fluoride-free, all-natural toothpaste. Yes, we sell them, but yes, you can get them on Amazon. You can find them at different places. I think even Walmart maybe jumped in on the bandwagon on that. But it's really important. Stop using aluminum foil, aluminum pans, aluminum cookware. Stop using deodorants that have aluminum in them. There's natural deodorants. We have them. Amazon has them. Other places have them. Stop watching mainstream fake news. And I know some of you are like, well, how do I know it's fake news? I watch CNN, or I watch Fox, or I watch channel blah, blah, blah. They're not fake. Really, just disconnect from it for a while and see how your body starts feeling. Because if you're one of those ones that's habitually watching that stuff, I promise you it's lowering your vibration and lowering your frequency. So you're feeling less happy and more in that fight or flight. Fight or flight is always going to be a gateway, a door opening for dis-ease to happen. When we raise our vibration and we stay positive, it helps to boost the immune system. This is things the baddies don't want us to know. Don't get consumed by your habits. If you are addicted to watching TV, if you're addicted to alcohol or cigarettes, some of those are addictions, but some are habits. Nicotine, they've told us it's an addiction. If you do some research, you're going to find out it's not addictive. It's been a seed that's been planted in people's minds. And the minute they say, oh, smoking is so much harder to quit, it's worse than a heroin addiction. It's a bunch of BS. It's a habit. It's a habit. It's all about being present, being in the moment, being conscious of your thoughts. Think about why you want to grab a cigarette or why you want to grab a drink. What need are you trying to fulfill? It goes the same with food. I can say, I might walk out to the kitchen just because I feel like I need, a cookie. But maybe I might be feeling a little sad or a little butt hurt, and that cookie's going to make me feel good because I grew up thinking, oh, I got an owie, and here's grandma or my mom, here, have this cookie. Think about it. When we have ice cream, this is so crazy because a lot of people, and just be aware and be conscious, be an observer. Like if you were to go to an ice cream place, like here in the Bay, I think there's, Creole Creamery. People get their ice cream and they'll stop walking. They'll find a bench. They'll go out of their way to find somewhere to sit down. Because think about it, when we were kids and our parents wanted us to be quiet and to settle down, let's get ice cream. Okay, y'all gotta sit down and eat this ice cream now. It stays with us as we become adults. The other thing that you can do is eat high vibrational living foods. High vibration living foods. What we put in, we become. Okay? So, vegetables and fruit. Make sure you wash them to get all the nasty chemicals off of them. And eat them. Eat them in a smoothie. Eat them as whole. If you're going to cook them, don't cook the life out of them. Flash cook them or blanch them because we need the vital nutrients. Especially right now, if they're saying this illness is as bad as it is, why wouldn't we be using food as medicine? That's what Mother Earth gave it to us for, to sustain us and to keep us healthy. But we kill it by overcooking it or just not eating it at all, or by eating things that we're not intended to eat. Listen to 528 hertz music or higher. 528 hertz music makes your vibration go up. It makes you feel good. It makes you happy. And you may not realize it consciously, but subconsciously it works. We do a lot with sound frequency at Mystic Bayou. So color therapy, color is a frequency, sound is a frequency. Now I will caution, if you get on YouTube to try to find 528 hertz music, I recommend a channel called Spirit Tribe Awakening. And we have a tester and we've tested their frequencies and their hertz, and they are exactly what they say they are. Now keep in mind, the internet, even YouTube, is not always your friend. You don't know who the strangers are behind some of the videos or whatnot. So some people don't always have your best interest at heart, and they could be having you listen to a frequency that's actually very damaging to you. Some people can go into psychosis, even spiritual crisis. Use caution when you see a video that says, oh, blah, blah, blah hertz music to open your pineal gland. I'm telling you what, I have people come in the store all the time in spiritual crisis because they've listened to stuff like that. It's extremely dangerous, y'all. Extremely dangerous. And, you might be thinking, well, what the hell is spiritual crisis? Well, you could feel like the dark night of the soul. You can fall into the deepest depression that you've ever felt in your entire life. And it can also cause issues that mimic diseases like arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, eczema, psoriasis. Frequency is extremely powerful. And if it wasn't, our military wouldn't have been using it for tons of years. Just use your discernment and know what you're listening to. And I put it out there, Spirit Tribe Awakening. You can listen to 432 hertz, which is very healing to our body. There are studies that show 432 hertz and damaged cells. The damaged cells will actually repair. Again, do your research. And then 528 hertz to raise your vibration, to induce positivity. It also drives out negativity. So negativity can't stand to be in a space where the vibration's high. Plain and simple. Pray. Oh my gosh, pray. Speak to God. Speak to whatever that verbiage is to you. Great universe, great spirit. And then meditate so that you can sit and listen. Extremely vital. And when I say pray, I've talked to a few people about this before. When we pray, we really need to step out in faith. So, I'm Catholic. I consider myself spiritual, but my Catholic background taught me what they call novena prayers, or like prayers like the rosary where you repeat it. Those aren't what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about here is if you go into prayer and you repeat the same prayer over and over, Lord, please give me, Lord, I need, Lord, I want, whatever that is, and you keep praying for it, you're not stepping out in faith. You're not knowing that you're going to receive what you're asking for. You're creating your own blockage. And when you sit in prayer, you should always feel it as if you have it. And I'm not talking like tangible, like I want a new car or I want a new house and you imagine you see yourself in it. That's not what I'm talking about. Like feel it with gratitude that your prayer has been answered to the point your throat swells up and you could cry. Once that happens, your body has reached the frequency that matches what you're trying to ask for. Don't go back to that prayer. Let it unfold and let it happen. It may not be in your time. Remember, we're those people that want things now. We want what we want when we want it. And you know what? We just need to learn to be patient, because when we receive the gift from Spirit, it's 100,000 times better than we ever thought it could be. So, conscious prayer, conscious meditation. You can also use singing bowls. You can use tuning forks. You can carry with you or wear a Merkaba to help open the pineal gland and help shield and protect you. And a Merkaba, I actually have mine on today. I don't know if y'all can see it. It looks like two pyramids intertwined. And this Merkaba protects you from negative energies and negative entities that are trying to infiltrate you. I just got a bunch of these. Actually, I just ordered a bunch of these for Mystic Bayou because they've been extremely hard for us to find. And unfortunately, they don't have the bail on it. So I'm going to have to hand wrap each and every one that's going to become a piece of jewelry. But as soon as they come in, I'm going to start working on those because I believe in the Merkaba so much. And again, it's not just one of these things to do, but it's doing all of these in conjunction with each other. Once you start eating clean, once you start eating more healthy, once you start dropping the sodas and dropping, oh my gosh, coffee. I didn't even talk about coffee. Y'all, coffee's another story, and y'all are going to be like, this chick is off her. And China won't even touch because of the mold content. We buy it, they flavor it, they send it to Starbucks or whoever, and we just consume it like crazy little animals. Number one, it's a sacred plant medicine that is being abused. And number two, we're getting all that mold toxicity. And that mold toxicity mimics other diseases in our body. So we're being told we have blah, blah, blah disease, and we may not. It could just be from the mold. Excuse me. Same thing with gluten, y'all. I was told I had rheumatoid arthritis. I was taking pills because they were prescribed to me, and I woke up. And then it took me a little longer to wake up to the fact of gluten. I stop the gluten. I don't have hardly any of my joint pain. Hardly any. I feel like I have a new body. So what I'm trying to get to is once you start eating better and you start being a conscious eater and start being aware of what you're putting in your body, you may find, matter of fact, I know you will find, that your body is going to change and you're going to be healthy. Your hair is going to look great. Your skin's going to look great. You're going to feel good. You're going to breathe better. You're going to move better. It's that simple and it's that easy. But honestly, we're lazy. We are so stinking lazy. It's easy for us just to fall back to the default because we don't want to put the work behind what we need to do. We want to continue to put the Band-Aid on the issue. But I promise you, if you do these things, not only are you going to make your body healthy, but you're going to open that pineal gland and you're going to be more connected to humanity. And last but not least, be good human beings. Be nice. It's not that hard. Love each other. Don't fall for the BS race hate. Don't fall for the BS religious whatever, against spirituality and all that judgy stuff. Don't fall for it. Just stop it. Stop the judging. Be nice. Again, it's not that hard. Maybe get into a practice of when you're walking through the grocery store, if you can even get anybody to make eye contact with you. That's something that's fallen aside and it's extremely sad. Look at somebody and really look at them, not in a judgmental way, but think about, God, I wonder what they're going through today. I wonder if there's anything that I could do to make their day a little better. It could be a simple smile. You never know. I believe smiles could change the world, but I'm a dreamer. All right, y'all. And last but not least, I talked about the nicotine and the eating and connecting it to emotions, but also drinking alcohol. And I've been guilty of this. I know I was an alcoholic after I lost my first son, Sean. I would drink myself into oblivion. Matter of fact, I think that I had a stroke. I can't prove it. When I was blacked out. But there comes a point in time when, hopefully there comes a point in time when you realize the damage that we're doing to our bodies by consuming it. And by no means am I an angel. I'll still consume alcohol, but it is not anywhere near what it used to be. And it used to be every day. And if I have a drink, it's maybe once a week, if that, and that's a stretch. Again, just being conscious, because when we drink alcohol, we're not in our own senses. We're not being true to ourselves. We're not living ourselves truthfully. We're not speaking our truth. Now, some people might say, oh yeah, I speak my truth when I drink, trust me, and I'm freer and I'm more happy. It's all an illusion. We use it as a crutch to be able to burst out of our shell. We should be able to burst out of our shell just because we want to, not because it's drug induced. So, all right, y'all. That was a long soapbox. I'm sorry. I've had a lot to say for a long time, things that I'm really passionate about. And I couldn't do this the last couple times I had posted I was going to do a live. So I'm really thankful that y'all are here tonight and listening. I'm going to look at my comments real quick. And yeah, bad guy's not wanting us to wake up for sure. Video is starting and stopping. Jennifer, listening to 528 daily, I assume that's what you mean. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Plant medicine, yes. Endorphins release, yep. Yeah, we're living in really rough times, and, sometimes we need to disconnect to reconnect. Again, that's where prayer and meditation come into play. Pray and speak to God, sit in meditation and listen. Yes, Brittany, it is sickening and it's sad. It's so sad to see, like, I've become a little bit more conscious about looking at people, and I mean really looking at people. Like, if I'm at the grocery store and, or I pull into the parking lot, for example, and I see people that are just so overweight and, they have a cast or a wrap or a cane, or they just can't even limp. And then they go in the store, and then I'm not judging. At least I'm not thinking I am, or not trying to. I feel bad for them. And I look and see what they have in their shopping cart. And it's potato chips, and it's processed food, and it's cases of soda, cases of beer. Like, I never see fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. It's really, really sad to just want to go up to these people and be like, oh, I wish you'd eat better, because if you did, you'd feel so much better and you would heal. But people wake up in their own time, and sometimes people just aren't meant to wake up. It's sad. Yeah, there are a lot of indigos, crystal children, star seeds. There's a lot of them on this planet right now, and they started coming in around the late 60s, I believe. And, there's a specific purpose to kind of help humanity through this. And I'm telling you what, man, like, my thing is, how many times has this planet had a reset? And what exactly does that mean? Was there a reset when the Mayans disappeared? Was there a reset when all the Egyptians and all that stuff did? Like, this is scary, because it's something they keep talking about too. Like, I try not to watch mainstream media. Every now and again, I'll just tune in for just a minute, just to see what kind of bullshit they're saying to keep everybody scared and freaked and pushing their agendas. I don't know. I just know I would rather be one of the light workers. And honestly, if you're watching this video, I already feel that you're a light worker. And many of you that are on here, I know you personally. I know you are light workers. So if you find yourself in a struggle between wanting to do the right thing by being more healthy and talking to yourself better and treating yourself kinder and all that, if you're in that struggle, just know there's no question. It's vital. You have to, because your job is to help others, and you can't help others if you're not running prime yourself. All right, y'all. Just kind of looking at throw away the fluoride toothpaste. Yeah, I agree. Throw it away. And don't use baking soda either. A lot of people use that on their teeth. You can use a good bentonite clay. You can Google search natural toothpaste recipes if you want to make your own. If not, we sell it. I'm sure, like I said, I think Walmart might have some. Maybe even an herbal place down the road from us might even have it. Just wherever you can get it. I'm not trying to push our product. What I'm trying to push is better health for people. So, all right, y'all. I'm thankful that y'all hung out with me. I will do a couple card readings if y'all aren't sick of listening to me. We'll just do a few since I've kind of rambled on. Let me see my comments on the screen. Yeah, and don't drink baking soda. Yes, good point. So, a lot of these alkalized waters that you're buying off the shelf at Walmart or wherever, those are alkalized because they put a chemical in it, and it's called baking soda. It's so deceptive. All right. Yeah, Jennifer, I agree. I'm not a fan of the whole mask thing. They're full of carcinogens, number one. And number two, our bodies are designed to function properly without having a mask on, to filter and to exhale. Okay, so we bring in, whatever, and all the oxygen and whatever chemicals our body needs, and then it expels what it doesn't. And our body has built-in mechanisms to get rid of bacteria and virus, etc. So now we're walking around with these masks on, and we're just constantly inhaling what we're supposed to be exhaling. Just absolutely does not sit with me, and it doesn't make any sense. For those of you that like to wear the mask or think that it works, that's great. I have no issue with that. I have an issue with being told that I have to wear one. Because again, I live in America and I have free will. I don't believe it's healthy. And I certainly don't want to treat my body poorly. The mask is also, I call it the muzzle. It keeps us from talking to people when we're in public. It also keeps us from smiling at people. So now when you're walking around with your mask and you pass somebody in the grocery store, whatever, Walmart, it's easy for them just to turn away. I feel it's a way of another facet or another level of desensitizing us to other human beings, because the baddies know if we come together, there's no stopping us. If we unite, what better way to keep us apart is by, I don't know, some of the things that they're doing. The race hate, the religious issues, making it easy so you don't have to smile at anybody when you pass them on the street or in the store. It's disgusting. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I agree, Christina. And how many people carry their masks in their purse? They hang them on the rear view mirror. They're on the car seat. Sometimes they're on the car floor. And you're just like scrambling to get one so that you can go in somewhere. None of that makes any sense. All right, y'all. So I will do, I don't know how many people I have on. I'll do a few one card pulls if anybody's interested. Yeah, Jennifer, anything to divide people. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the point. I don't know. How many of you can do emojis or on here, or say something really cute and clever that stands out to get me to pick you to pull a card? If y'all are interested. If you aren't interested on card pull, I'm good with that too. All right, Tina. Because you got cute little 2 hearts right there. I would love one. All right. Alrighty. Let's just see. I don't know what deck I'm going to use. I haven't used this deck in a little while. Let's see. I don't know, Tina. For you, I'm drawn between 2 different decks. So I'm going to use a deck to decide what deck I'm going to use. Alright, so I'm going with my roadmap, my enchanted roadmap deck. Alright, what do the angels have to say to Tina? All right, so I have drawn intention. It's number 22, and I'm big on 2s. I love that it's a 22. I love that this depicts a field full of seeded dandelions, because they represent spirituality to me and planting that seed. But it's also good intentions. There's also an owl on here, and that owl shows wisdom. He's also on a nest egg. Okay, protecting something that it's nurturing, possibly, is what I feel. So let me just sit with this for a second. The feeling that I get is that you've placed in motion, I want to say quite a while ago, I don't feel like it's any time too recently, you yourself planted a seed for something that you have been trying to manifest. And you're still in that nurturing stage, even though for some reason I feel like you've just kind of, I want to say just kind of brushed it under the rug, or maybe even forgot about it. It's going to come to fruition very soon. Twos are great for change, of course, but for things happening unexpectedly. So when I see that egg, you've nurtured something, you've intended something, you've manifested something, or tried to manifest something, and now it's getting ready to come to fruition, if it already hasn't. Put a lot of thought and a lot of wisdom behind this. Put a lot of thought and a lot of wisdom behind this. For some reason, have you been thinking about changing something about your career? Maybe not necessarily changing the career altogether, but doing something different in your career, or doing something on the side. It's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. All right, I was just hesitating a little bit so I could see if Tina was going to reply, but let's see what the book says. Yeah, your deliberate intentions absolutely are going to have enough power and magic to change your world. Anything that you are trying to manifest or intend right now, because you're looking at things from a higher perspective, a higher wisdom, pretty much anything that you touch right now is going to be like you have the Midas touch, and you're spreading seeds out to other people as well. So inspiration maybe comes to my mind, and also I feel like you're making people think. You're planting a seed, and they're just like, oh, I didn't see it that way before. So doing some light work for sure is what I see in that card. So, yeah, I don't see you leaving exactly what you are doing, but I feel like a change within the business that you work in. So just keep that and tuck that in your back pocket, Tina, and keep me posted to see if that happens. Okay, I'm trying to read this post. Okay, so looking at the person beneath the surface, I had to pass something. And oh gosh, I can't read it from the screen, y'all. I'm sorry. Looking at the person beneath the surface, I had to pause the video for the smile part for years. Yeah, girl, I do believe smiles are going to change the world. As crazy as it sounds. I mean, how simple is that? Smile, look at somebody, show them some empathy and compassion. Yeah, girl. So, Tina, you are definitely spreading seeds. Most definitely. Most definitely. Okay, so let's see. Yes, Christina mentioned on here to mark your calendars for August 17th. It's Tuesday, August 17th from 2 to 6. She's going to be doing tea and tarot. And that's always a good time. You'll get to come out and get a little taste of how a reading is done, and you'll get to sample some of our delicious Tiesta tea. We'll have 1 or maybe 2 flavors going that day so that you can try them out. Just keep in mind, it's a mini reading, so I know everybody wants to ask more questions and dig into more information, but the best part about it is you can always schedule an appointment for an actual reading and really get everything answered that you want to know. All right, who else? Christina, you have a emoji up. Cindy. Hey, Cindy, I didn't see you pop on. Are your emojis up because you would like a reading? Just waiting to see if Cindy is still on. Hopefully the video is not lagging and stuff. It's so hard to see the screen with my trifocals. All right, let's see. Christina, what is Spirit saying? What does Spirit have to say today? I don't know. Let's find out. I got my cards going every which way. I'm actually opening at the shop tomorrow. I'm really excited about that. So I'll be there from 10 o'clock until maybe 2-ish. I don't know, somewhere around there. Working to get our new product out. We got a ton of new stuff to put out, and it's taking us forever to inventory it. So we apologize, but I feel like y'all are going to be like, wow, this was really worth it. All right, Christina, let's see. We have sparks. I don't know if you can see that. It's a beautiful card. I don't know. I love all her cards, but this one really touches my heart because, I look at this card and I think of passion and just, that it actually is a person playing a violin. And they're just playing and playing and playing, and droplets of hearts are just falling to the earth and to the people around them. And I feel like because I do know you and we work together and we're friends as well, to me this is the epitome of who you are and how you speak to people and what you try to convey to people in your messages. And giving so much of yourself. It's like dropping those divine sparks and just waiting for it to ignite, in somebody. And right now you are a clear channel of the divine. So that completely makes total sense. I hope it makes sense to you. All right. Let's see. All right. Oh, Cindy, you are on. Do you want me to pull a card for you? I'm going to take that as a yes. All right, Cindy. We have wide open spaces, number 42. I love this card as well. Again, all of her cards are just absolutely beautiful. They are Colette Baron Reed cards, the Enchanted Roadmap. It's one of my favorite decks. Cindy, when I look at this card, the first thing that I see is somebody who's just totally climbed the mountain. And now you're at the top and you're just like, thank God that's over. I made it. I am free and the world is my oyster. I have a brand new slate. I can paint my world any way I want it to be, and I can be the best divine creator in my situation. And I feel a lot of transformation as well because I see the butterfly there. And with the butterfly, the little trail of glitter always reminds me of a lot of magic working around you. Like, you've worked hard to get where you are, but right now, the world is really your oyster. Everything's wide open right there for you. Trying to get to the page in the book here. You are free to express your uniqueness to the world and share all the bounty of life's endless possibilities. So beautiful. I hope that resonates. And Cindy, I know you're out there doing great things, and I apologize that we haven't gotten back to you about what we were talking about, but I'll reach out to you soon when Joey and I are, back at the shop and done with some of the stuff that we have to do on the back end. All right. I can do one more. All right. It's hard for me to go back up to these messages. Jennifer, all right. Jennifer, you got it. I have to post those drumming circle photos that you sent. They were absolutely beautiful photographs. Okay. All right, you got flying and flying. Let me see if I can hold it up here better. Another absolutely beautiful card. I love that it's a Pegasus unicorn. And I love the labyrinth down below. If any of you have ever had a dream about flying, they're really usually really good dreams. And they signify happiness and also seeing things from a higher perspective as well. And when I look at this card and I see rainbows just dripping off of this unicorn Pegasus butterfly. It's so funny because it has butterfly wings. I don't know if you can see it. So lots and lots and lots of transformation going on with you. Lots. And that labyrinth down below, it's like you go one direction, then you go the next direction, you go one direction, next direction. So, and unfortunately, I kind of know you. That's a good thing that I know you, but in this circumstance, because it's easy for me to say, I feel like you're being pulled in different directions. And, because I know you, I know that that's probably more than likely what's going on. But the card definitely shows it as well. Be you, be true to yourself, speak your truth, live your truth. At the end of the day, is it worth living your life for somebody else? I don't think so. And I caught you earlier too when you made a little comment about bad grass. You can't get rid of bad grass. Really be cognizant of what you're telling yourself, because right now with this huge transformation I lost my train of thought. But when people start to go through this ascension or this transformation, and you've had any kind of religious connection to your life, like for me, it was Catholicism. But I think for me, transitioning to spiritual was a little different, because I had spiritual in the beginning of my life through my mentor, but I just didn't know that that's what that was. And then I had a significant situation happen in my life when my dad passed that led me to Catholicism. And then while I was researching and diving deep into Catholicism, I really dove into more of the mystical side of Catholicism, like Marian apparitions and the scent of roses and the scent of incense and the gift of tears and all these things, because that's what resonated with me. I still carry a lot of that with me. I don't have a lot of faith in organized religion per se, just because there can tend to be some greed involved. So I'm very discerning. Like I still love to go to church, and but I have to be very discerning, and I have to stick with my spirituality as well, because I don't like for me being Catholic, I don't feel like I have to go to another man or another human and confess my sins, when we all have a divine direct connection to great source and to great spirit. And I think a lot of people don't understand spirituality, and maybe don't necessarily understand Mystic Bayou, and can connect negative connotations with it, which is just really ignorant at times. Just people who are uneducated, thinking different things about us. So I don't know. That's a whole nother video. That could be like a 3-hour video, y'all. But I thank y'all so much. I'm not going to continue to take your time, but I do appreciate you all for listening to me speak about what I spoke about today, and the pineal gland, and about food and all that stuff. And I'm going to stop rambling, because I feel like that's what I'm doing now. Thank y'all so much for being on, and hopefully I'll get to see you at Mystic Bayou soon. I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you.